Today we will discuss the first topic from your book Vistas, the first lesson from your book Vistas, The Third Level by Jack Finney. The third level is a well-defined and convincing description of time travel. The story is divided into modern world and the world of the 1890s, the world of Grand Central Station of New York, and the past world of Galesburg, Illinois. The writer Jack Finney takes the reader in both the eras, that is the modern world and the world of 1890s, with care without confusing them. You will find the story interesting once we proceed with the main story. Now, if you could travel back in time, what time and place in history would you choose? Many people think life was simpler 100 years ago. This type of question often comes to our mind when we read such kind of story. But before moving on to the story, let's know something about the writer Jack Finney. About the author, Walter Braden, popularly known as Jack Finney, born on October 2, 1911 and died on November 14, 1995. He is an American author known for science fiction and thrillers. He started his literary career by writing stories for magazines. His best known works are Time and Again, Body Snatcher, The Third Level, that is the short story collection which we will be dealing with now, of Missing Person, and many more. So, have you heard about the Grand Central Station in New York City? It is traditionally been one of the busiest train terminals in the world. The Grand Central Station is a train station located on the 42nd Street and Park Avenue in Midtown Manhattan in New York City. It is the world's largest train station by number of platforms and the area occupied. The pictures given in this slide will give you a vague idea of how the train station look like. So these are some pictures I have added in this slide. And now how this Grand Central Station is connected with this story, let's find out that with our next slide. Moving on to the next slide. So let's start with the introduction. The Third Level is a story about Charlie, who appears to be a representative of the average man in the unhappy modern world. His hunt for the third level is a waking dream wish fulfillment or a form of escape to the peaceful times of the 1890s. Waking dream wish fulfillment means in our reality we may see something that is not there, but it is what we wish to see and want to happen. In this story, the author mixes fantasy with reality. It seems as if Charlie had time travel. The story is set after the World Wars and the terror of the war was fresh in everyone's mind. Consequently, life was full of fear, insecurity, and worry. It talks about the modern day world, which is full of worry, stress, and insecurity. And people find ways to escape and overcome those insecurities. It talks about the figments, something that seems real but it is not, of imagination that can be used to escape the reality of present life. Now, as this title suggests, the third level, the story is basically centered around the Grand Central Station that has subways on two levels, from where the commuter take trains to different destinations. No third level was ever built. However, the protagonist of the story, Charlie, believes in the existence of a third level operating in a time frame of 1890s. Means the third level portrays the year 1890s. The story deals with the strange experience of the 31-year-old man Charlie, the narrator of the story, who is a daily commuter. Now, commuter is a person who travels some distance to work on a regular basis. He reaches the third level while taking the subway, an underground way for his home, but in reality, there are only two levels of station of New York's Grand Central Railway Station. There is no third level. Through a mysterious tunnel in the Grand Central Station, he comes out in another time. The Grand Central Station of 1894, a time before the World Show, were two of its deadliest wars. The period of the 1890s represent a peaceful life which is not possible in the present era. From this level, Charlie wants to travel to Galesburg, Illinois with his wife Louisa. For him, it is a part of reality, while his psychiatric friend calls it a waking dream wish fulfillment. The third level is only the imaginary discovery of the narrator, which is an escape from the modern world that is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry, and all rest of it. Charlie is an imaginative person. So, with his imagination, he takes a flight to the non existence of the world, the third level as the central station. But the central station doesn't have any third level, it has only two levels from which the people board train to different destination. But after finding the third level once, he and his wife fail to find it again. In short, Charlie is the true representative of the modern man who is torn between the pulls and pressures of a hectic modern life, and he wants to escape since he is not happy. There are mainly two themes in this lesson. First one is time travel, that is when Charlie moved into a different period, traveled into a different period in 1894. He traveled to the year 1894. And the second one is the theme of escapism, that is theme of escapism. He want to escape from the grim realities of the present day world. That is why he has created an imaginary third level in his own mind. Time travel has always been an interesting topic of movies and fiction, and use of machines or specially designed vehicles to travel into past or future can be seen. There are various movies on this theme like The Terminator, The Time Machine, and many more. If you watch these movies, you will have a clear idea of what the concept is all about. In this story, we talk about two different time periods. That is the modern day period where life is very complex, very hard, and in 1894 where life is simpler and peaceful. There is an intersection of these two time period in the story. There are two settings, the location, the modern New York City and the old city, and there are vivid description of both these settings. Theme of escapism from the grim realities of the present day world. The whole idea behind this story aims to convey or highlight the contemporary scenario today as we all are facing and people finding routes to escape this fast pace of life. In the past, life was simpler and everybody moved at a simpler pace, and there was no mad rush for this materialistic world, and as a result, everybody was more or less content. But with the onset of this modern lifestyle, the life of the modern man has become full of worries and insecurities, tension, and he wanted to escape to an imaginary world. The third level in the story is an escapism, which the narrator is trying to look for to find some peace, some happiness, and tranquility. The story dwells on the theme of escapism, not only as psychological refuge from the grim realities, but also as a desire to stay at the past or to keep the past alive in the complexities of the present. Charlie, the protagonist of the story, wishes to be transported to the world of 1894, which is supposedly much happier and quieter place to be. So he not only expresses desire to escape but also prepares and tries very hard to find the third level. When people in the present time want to escape the problems and stress of life, they feel that life 50 or 60 years ago was relaxed and they wanted to go back to the time for peace and happiness. We all wanted to go back to the happy times. As we can see in today's scenario when where there is death, depression, and we all wanted to go back to the time when things are much more peaceful. So, in this similar way, Charlie discovered a third level in his own mind, and that third level leads him to the year 1894, where life is simpler and easier. That is the story is all about, the third level. You will get to know more about the story once we proceed with the main text. There are three main characters in the chapter, that is Charlie, the protagonist of the story, Louisa, that is Charlie's wife, and Sam, Charlie's psychiatrist friend.